I really might have
Folks.
Ready. Okay. We'll go ahead and call this meeting order. 7:02. If everybody can please silence their mobile devices. We'll just on into the invitation and the manager,
Yeah. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for your very many blessings, Lord, and that we're here to meet tonight in a country that you've set where we are able to have the people saved. Lord, I thank you so much for your very many blessings. Lord, I pray that you give us wisdom in our words and, Lord, a good listening ear to rightly divide everything as we make decisions, as this board makes decisions in this meeting tonight. Lord, I thank you so much for your son, Jesus Christ. In his name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
will please make yourself aware of our ethics, awareness, and conflict of interest. And if anybody has a conflict of interest, please let us know at this time. Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 6, and that is additions or changes to the agenda.
Assistant Chairman Commissioners, I'd like to add 11G, the nomination of Steve North to the Health Board. I'd also like to add 11H, the Board of Education distribution request.
Taylor, did you get that?
Got
Me second.
I second.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Brandon.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Moving on to item 8, the approval of the minutes.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add something to the minutes from January 17, 2023. And those minutes were public comments. Commissioner Harding, this is concerning Mr. Greg Jenkins. And he talked about homeless, disabled veterans. Commissioner Harding asked Mr. Jenkins for metrics for factual numbers of homeless, disabled veterans in Mitchell County. And Mr. Jenkins could not provide any numbers that were factual. And I'd like that added to the public, to the minutes for public record, please.
And call for a motion to approve those with such amendments.
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, a second.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. All in favor? All right. Item number 9 on our agenda tonight under report and presentation. Item 9A is going to be our employee of the month. I'm going to have our county manager read that tonight.
All right, for our employee of the month. Mitchell County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Cynthia Beal as the January Employee of the Month. Cynthia is a transit driver with Mitchell County Transportation. She has been nominated and selected for going above and beyond with service for one of her passengers. Cynthia had taken a passenger that is a power wheelchair user to a medical appointment in Asheville. The passenger has a driveway that the ADA vans cannot get up. Upon arriving at his home, Cynthia deboarded the passenger and he was taking the power chair up the driveway toward his house. Cynthia remained at the bottom of the driveway, waiting to make sure he got home safely. Halfway to the house, the wheelchair lost power. So Cynthia quickly retrieved his walker, worked to get his wheelchair to the bottom of the hill, backed his minivan down the driveway and helped get the chair loaded. She then made sure he got into the house and was okay before leaving him. This passenger has now claimed Cynthia as his hero. Cynthia, this is just one example of going above and beyond, but thank you for the care and consideration you always show to others. This is a great example of your dedication to the passengers of the Mitchell County Transportation Department. In addition to providing great service to passengers, you always have a positive outlook on life that can't help but lift the spirits of those around you. Whether on a vehicle with their passengers or when you walk into the office, you instantly brighten it up, which doesn't go unnoticed and is very much appreciated by all. Cynthia, the Board of Commissioners is proud to recognize you as the January Employee of the Month. Thank you for serving our citizens with the utmost care and professionalism and your positive influence with both your coworkers and your passengers. Cynthia, come on up here. Harley's got some.
Get up here with us. Picture of everybody. Yay. Everybody looking thanks.
Jeff was chewing his chewing gum.
No, I have chewing gum, it's like mint.
I think we're good.
So I don't call.
We don't want you.
Come on, all my glasses. Thank you. Moving on to 9B is our tax collector report. Ask you all hard questions.
Collections report, which you have for the month of January, was $1,302,096.56. January. And then the collections percentage, now this is as of January 31st, is 88.76%. You look today, it's a lot bigger. But that's next month.
Anybody? Go ahead.
Sure.
No, I just want to ask if anybody have any questions. It's for
Oh,
support.
and we should start seeing the North Carolina, debt set-off program, because as everybody files their state taxes, it should start coming in full. But it's open now, isn't it? File. And I'll be mailing out delinquent letters for accounts that's older, like 10 years. And I totaled that up today, it's $48,000. Two people contacted me already, instead of payment agreements, which is what we want. So they're not ready to go into foreclosure yet, but we want to collect those back packages. And the first foreclosures, 2 properties are going to go to auction March the 7th. That's total $10,900 right now. Those there is an execution for those. That's all we have. Nothing for February. It's either they pay or the payment agreements
How long do they have to do that
on the execution.
foreclosures?
That,
Or is it too late?
No, it's not too late.
Okay.
They can pay in full, it's not. In rem foreclosure, this is something new together on this year.
Mhm.
So I'm learning the process with the Dean Brown Seth's office.
Yeah.
And they may know, county attorney may know about that too. In rem foreclosure,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, so up until there's the sale of the courthouse, then there's a 10-day upset bid period that would start within the upset that would be filed. And if there's a new one, it starts at 10 days over with. Again, and the owner can redeem the property by paying the total amount in full to stop the foreclosure sale. After the upset bid expires, the high bidder becomes the owner of the property.
So Jesse, on the foreclosure, where do you advertise that? Is it in the newspaper?
and the court's office will have it also. They're advertised, and there's a process that they have to go through. Wait like 30 days, and then they contact owners, and after I've done it, then Dean's office also does that. Certified or sheriff's office. Reach out to them. Our second notices for 22 will be mailed out in mid-February, but actually it's going to be bills not out. You're delinquent, you're going to get a mailing. And you should also have a copy of the 22-23 unpaid real property tax spreadsheet.
That was emailed today.
Yes, that would be emailed. She emailed that to you today. And I just- Oh, see, this is.
Does anybody else have any questions for Jesse? Sit down and bring it back to you.
You know, get the company.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. All right, next, item 10 on our agenda is public comment, and we do have 2 individual that likes to come. Each of you will get 3 minutes and I'll set a timer, and I'm sorry for the abrasiveness of this timer, but that's all I've got. So, Dr. Boyd, if you will come on up. You are number.
Okay, I only need a minute. So I gave everybody a gateway. This is our 11th edition. We do this, people, students, community members, faculty, staff, all, contribute to it. Photographs, poetry. Alan, did you ever write something for it? Okay. Okay, but it's something we do every year, and it's nice. It's a lot of people, that's the only time they've ever been published. And so, and we just give them up. And so, and then Alan and Philip Barrier and I was meeting on something the other day, and an idea came up to try to invite the 3 commissions to the planetarium for an event. So we scheduled the event for April 27th. We'll get invitations out to you. But it'd be 27th at 6 o'clock. We'll provide a meal, and then we'll have an hour in the planetarium, probably a laser light show. We'll let you guys pick the music. And that's been real popular, the laser light show. And then we'll open up the observatory if the weather permits. If it doesn't permit, then we can show a planetarium show. By then we'll have our new show. We've been one of 2 planetariums in the country selected by Huntsville Space and Rocket Center to do a prototype with them. And they're designing a new show every month, starting in March. That is the Webb Telescope. And so they're putting together the show for us and then giving us the show, and that they'll be doing that for a year. So they initially looked at 5 planetariums, and then the final is down to 2. We're one of the 2. So it'd be a good experience. But it'd be a lot of fun that night, good fellowship, bring spouse. Of course, the manager, the clerk, attorney is all welcome, but it'd be a nice fellowship. It's a good time to always get the chat with other commissioners. So.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for doing that.
Number 2, on our public comment is.
I really didn't heard of it, and I thought the commissioners maybe it was tomorrow now. But anyhow, this ordinance, I really had a chance to read it. I've been sort of briefed by a friend of mine. I'm thinking, when it comes to land rights and stuff, there's more to it than controlling somebody building a building and investing. When we're born on earth, we need a place to be. And it's married, food to eat, whatever the reason may be. But on the other hand, if people's up north and places coming in here and going wild and that shit crazy or something, we need to focus on some things, And who knows, we could possibly be deplorables down here in Mitchell County. I don't know. But as a rule of thumb, we need to focus on everything. In the state of California, if your house burns down out there, and there's several houses burned up last year in California, it costs an arm and a leg just to clean up the debris that's left. Thousands of dollars because you got red tape, red tape, and red tape. And I hate to say it, but this kind of smells like California. I mean, if your house burns down in North Carolina, Mitchell County, do you have to have an ordinance to clean up the mess or something, But I ain't had a chance to look it over, smoke it over, whatever. But a strange thing happened to me last year. I got summoned to court twice, state court and federal court. And I was thinking, wow, I've got to deal with this, Nobody wants to go to federal court. I actually want to deal with that crowd over there. But anyhow, I'm probably speaking ahead of the game, but I'm thinking this might be unconstitutional. And it's we the people, it's not we the citizens. So I'm gonna read it and smoke it over and get back to it. Since I just want to make it short, 3 minutes worth. Maybe next month I have more to talk about. But I do know there's several people I'm happy with it. And maybe they'll be here next month. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Tommy, do you have anything that you would like to say? Just checking.
It is very, very minimal. And it is 98% of it for emergency personnel to reach the areas to put out fire. And that is the main reason behind it, so emergency personnel can get to these sites. And it is very minimal.
I don't think you do. Item number 11. Our agenda tonight are items for discussion, and 11A is going to be request to house tax liens. So come on.
The request of tax liens to be advertised in the month of March. We have from March to advertise, but we want to do March.
No.
You have to.
I will open the floor for a motion for Ms. Jessie to advertise. And
Make a motion.
thank you, Jeff. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Brandon. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Susan. Item number 11, the on our agenda is a budget amendment. This will be budget amendment number 3, and Ms. Mavis Hartsley will speak to that.
Okay, this is budget amendment number 3 for this budget year, and this is a balanced budget amendment, which will slightly increase our general fund of about $265,000. Also, in this budget amendment, you're going to see Fund 17, which is our opioid fund. If you remember when we budgeted this originally, we really didn't budget any funds into that. Well, now we have started getting funds into this program, so I went ahead and budgeted it. The entire amount that we've estimated at this point is going to come in over the next 18 years. Remember though, this comes in gradually, and in fact, we just got another, the third allotment this year since July that we weren't expecting. It was an additional 13,000 and some that come from a separate pot of lawsuit money. And so apparently there's hardly no way to estimate exactly how much money it's going to be. It's just going to come in when it comes. When you get it, you get it. But we did get another deposit. And in fact, in my finance report, I've got that exact number to tell you and where that came from. But we did recently get another one. So you're going to see that in this budget amendment. We're recognizing that money. Also in Fund 20, we recognize some additional interest in a Fund 10 transfer on that account. And what happens there, once a year, we have to do an audit for 911. And sometimes there's money that's been spent that they don't recognize as PSAP or 911 appropriate funding, and we have to move some money back and forth between Fund 10 and our Fund 20. So you'll see that sometimes, and we reconcile that to meet those requirements. Recreation facility, Fund 45, of course, you know, since July when we did the budget, we did get our state directed grant of $2 million. So I have recognized that money because we have started seeing some expense in that project. So not only do you have your general fund in this budget amendment, but you have some auxiliary funds in there as well. And that's all I have on that. And I'll try to answer any questions about any particular items.
Anybody got any questions for Mavis? Hearing none, all in favor for a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Thank you, Clayton. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you.
Ms. Mavis. Item number 11, D is going to be the voluntary ag district member approval. Members that have been presented to us tonight are Steve Wilson. He will be representing the Bakersville district. Tim Glenn will be representing the Grassy Creek District, and then Rodney Buchanan will be a member at large. Is there any discussion?
What is that board?
Yes, so the voluntary ag district, basically, to put it in just a real easy terminology is, let's say you're, got a farm, you've had a farm and, your goats stink and your neighbor complains. Before you correct me if I'm wrong, voluntary ag district allows you to be able to continue to farm and not really be held to any kind of standard of doing the activities associated with farming. It's kind of a legal liability covering. Since we're in that district, we're able to continue to do those farming operations without getting any kind of like I said, I'm putting this in very non-legal terms because I do not claim to be an attorney, but it keeps us our liability down to where nobody can really complain about ag activities in the area.
Because they know they're moving into an ag.
They're in an ag district, so it's therefore labeled as such.
And I believe that's
Yeah.
legal. Is it registered with the GIS department? Keegan has to do something with it, and then it's also.
Extension holds a lot with it. Now, I don't know, I'm just got the flyover on that, so you have to be keeping on that. other than that.
Yes, it is a voluntary designation, but it does provide additional protection for farmers and for farmland as far as potential for nuisance claims that the neighbor might bring if they move in next door. And it's the commissioners that you wish to support and encourage agricultural and farming activities within the community.
They need to vote on each thing separately or all together. So one.
Whichever they prefer, you can vote on all names together or separately, depending on what you decide to do.
So in essence, it's kind of like an LLC, it's similar to, but where it in the sense that it provides like limitations to liability. So if you have chickens and, you know, you had chickens uphill and rain wash chicken feces down somebody's property and they were claiming that there's E. coli, would you have the Office of Statutory Protection?
It doesn't act like that. It usually deals with nuisance claims against farming activities.
Okay.
It previously was called the farmland preservation designation, but it's the same thing. It essentially deals with nuisance claims of folks who may wish to, buy a place and then not wish to have farming next door to them. And this would be the district would be those that essentially is a statement of support for farming activities within Mitchell County.
What do the board members do? Do they hear complaints and?
Yes, they would hear complaints, try and see if they can resolve disputes, and also look to develop agricultural interests within the community.
I'm moving to accept those names.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, item number 11D tonight is going to be information about the Over Mountain Victory National Historic Trail Resolution. So that's what Matt talked about last time. This is the layer of support.
Right. All right, this resolution reads as such. Mitchell County Resolution supporting the Over Mountain Victory National Historic Trail, and that's abbreviated OVNHT feasibility study. Whereas Mitchell County's natural beauty is critical to its residents' quality of life, health, and economic well-being, and whereas the trails that span across our county are an integral part of the outdoor recreation and transportation possibilities of our area, and promote an enjoyment of scenic beauty and history by our residents and our visitors. And whereas the parks, greenways, trails, and natural areas in our county are welcoming to all and provide a common ground for people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds to access our rich and diverse natural, cultural, and historical resources. And whereas Mitchell County's nature trails vary all over the communities, and this 2-mile section of the OVNHT is to be studied as a new alternative and safer route connection for our citizens to better enjoy our county and the Blue Ridge Parkway. And whereas trails offer quality of life benefits to all as expressions of local county character and pride, as outdoor workshops for science education, as tools for economic revitalization, as free resources for healthy recreation, as accessible alternative transportation, and as sites for social and cultural events. And whereas the North Carolina General Assembly designated 2023 as the year of the trail in North Carolina to promote and celebrate the state's extensive network of trails that showcase our state's beauty, vibrancy, culture. And whereas the North Carolina General Assembly designated 2023 as the year of the trail in North Carolina to promote and celebrate the state's extensive network of trails that showcase our state's beauty, vibrancy, culture. And whereas North Carolina is known as the Great Trails State, now therefore be it resolved that Mitchell County Board of Commissioners does support the Over Mountain Victory National Historic Trail in Spruce Pine and commend this feasibility study grant in anticipation that this trail could someday be reality and used by all peoples. Adopted this the 6th day of February 2023 by the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners.
Hearing all that, any discussion? Matt, do you have anything else you would like to add?
You said it all.
Okay. All right. Call for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Okay. All in favor? I won't let you do the next one.
Give me a break.
All right, item number 11E tonight is going to be a resolution to support holding a primary election for Mitchell County Board of Education. Bear with me as I read this long one. Resolution in support of the North Carolina General Assembly creating primary elections for the Mitchell County Board of Education. Whereas North Carolina law currently mandates that all Board of Education elections in the state be nonpartisan unless a local bill provides otherwise. Whereas Mitchell County is currently subject to the law, and this Mitchell County Board of Education candidates cannot disclose their political party affiliation to voters. Whereas all other local races within Mitchell County are considered by voters at the date set for primaries. Whereas the North Carolina General Assembly has made exceptions to this law to allow for partisan school board elections for several North Carolina counties, including Allegheny, Anson, Brunswick, Dublin, Winston-Salem, Graham, Greene, Guilford, Harnett, Jones, Lee, Lenore, New Hanover, Swain, Vance, and Washington. Whereas the North Carolina General Assembly is willing to add an exception for Mitchell County if local support is shown for such a decision. Whereas voters in Mitchell County local elections generally consider the qualifications of candidates at the date of the primary. Whereas political party designation will indicate a candidate's general approach to the governance of policy formation and problem solving. Whereas within knowledge of the candidate's political views, voters are more likely to pick a candidate's based solely on the candidate's ethnicity, gender, name recognition, name location on the ballot itself, or race. And whereas in partisan elections, voters are likely to be more informed on a candidate's political views, and the candidates of similar political views are less likely to dilute each other's support when primaries are utilized. Whereas requiring political party affiliation to be disclosed results in voters being more informed about candidates in an election. Whereas having more information on political candidates and considering these qualifications as part of the primary process would allow citizens of Mitchell County an opportunity to consider the candidates qualifications in a manner consistent with other local races. And therefore, be it resolved that Mitchell County Board of Commissioners extend its support to the efforts of the North Carolina General Assembly in improving Mitchell County Boards of Education elections by reforming them into a partisan race. Adopted this day, the sixth of February, 2023, by the Mitchell County Board of Commissioners. Discussion?
So, yeah, I would say that this is something that I've worked on personally. Something that bothered me for a while is that every single election on the ballot, with the exception of the school board, is partisan race. And, you know, for me, it's not a Democrat issue, it's not a Republican issue, it's a transparency issue. Unless you are well informed and well versed going in to vote, a lot of folks really are just voting blindly for that race. And, you know, I've heard the argument that politics shouldn't be in our school systems, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. But unfortunately, in this day and age, across our country, politics are in our school systems. So as a voter, as a parent, as a school teacher, when I show up to vote, I want to know where those candidates' values on major issues facing our kids in our school today, where they lie. And currently, I can't think of a better way to judge that other than their party affiliation. Aside from that, it gives us another chance to vet out candidates running for school board. So they not only have to make it through one election, they have to make it through two by adding a primary. So Republicans get to add their three best candidates, and Democrats would get to add their, well, I say two or three best, the three each time.
Believe so.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Democrats would go add their three best candidates. I fully support this after doing some research. If we pass this resolution tonight, we can send this on to the state, asking for the state to grant this to us at the General Assembly level. So with that being said, I move that we accept this resolution as it's presented.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Item tonight for 11 is going to be the discussion dates for the EMR. And I believe there's been some discussion of April the 4th, the 5th, 11th, and 12th. So if you can get all of those over to Blair at the tax office,
I'll do so.
if we can advertise them for them. Okay. Thank you. Item 11G tonight is going to be a nomination for the Toe River Health Board. And it's going to be Steve North. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
So just to bring y'all up to speed, we have an opening on the Taylor Health District Board for Mitchell County. Dr. North has a master's degree in public health, which is going to bring a lot more knowledge in every area of the district, as far as billing programs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I talked to Dr. North before I brought his name up. He is willing to serve. So I bring that recommendation to you for a vote, and then tomorrow night at the Board of Health meeting, I will let them know if we so choose Dr. North, if this board is in support of his recommendation. So before I make that motion of Dr. North, let me add one more thing. The Board of Health, the River Health District, which now comprises of Avery and Mitchell County, has done a complete 360-degree turnaround. Everything is functioning wonderful. My phone very seldom rings anymore with a situation. The interim director has done a great job. Staff morale is very good right now. And Avery County has a very good board of health, as well as Mitchell County has a very good board of health. So guys, very proud to announce that, we've all, sort of had to deal with some bumps in the road to involve that agency, and it's very nice to come up here and say, hey, man, everything's floating nice. But at this time, I'd like to recommend Dr. Stephen North for an opening on the Toll River Health Board, which we have.
I move that we accept Commissioner Harden's recommendation.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor? Commissioner Burton, how long is his seat on that board? Is it a 2-year term, is it a 1-year term, or do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Didn't remember.
Thinking it's a 3-year term.
Thank you. Item 11H tonight is going to be, Board of Education distribution request.
That is, request for their lottery funds. And again, we've talked about this, we'll probably have this almost every meeting or minimal just once a month, but this one is a request of $388,032.95, and attached to it, there is, the invoice for that from Coke. It's all still, on their design and pre-construction costs from Coke is what they're requesting. And so far, this has worked really great. We've gotten these in, or we'll be very excited. We get these in and they're getting approved by you guys, and we're getting them back and getting them processed, and the school's getting their money as timely as possible. As soon as the lottery does the transfer, I'm transferring it straight to them. So far, we've not had any hiccups with the process. Just realize that you'll be doing these for the next 2 years probably, so.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Hey, May, besides just wanted to, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but I meant to ask this earlier, I forgot. On when we did the budget amendment, we talking about the opioid money, we still, just for people listening, still can't spend any of that money until we are finished with the
We have to have a plan.
plan, and we're working on that. But for anybody.
Once we get the plan, we have to submit that, and, actually, to our next report, annual report, either the end of March or the end of April, I can't remember. We have to do an annual report on those funds and, have to submit a plan.
I'll tell you where that plan's at just a little bit, because I was speaking with Linda. So, as far as the opioid plan goes, we are partnered with Yancey County to get a regional outlook on it. And then they're going to hone in on Mitchell County. So they're going into a really in-depth study.
We're gonna build up the one Yancey's done.
Yeah, as far as the regional, and then they're going to hone in on data points in Mitchell County. So right now, the study folks are booked out. They're trying to bring in professionals that are also part of the consultation process. They're sampling the general public. They're sampling those folks who are having issues with opioids. So they're trying to get a sampling of all folks that are part of that equation. And so we're looking. I hesitate to put a time frame on it because Linda hesitated to, but maybe 2 to 3 months to really get through this study, maybe.
Well, I certainly don't want to rush. I want to follow the product, but I know a lot of people are wondering when that money will be available to be utilized, and I just want to update you that still in that process.
But keep in fact too, we just started getting the money, and it's coming in like little bits at a time. So there are lots of areas that's not even started spending that money at all. And haven't submitted a plan either. I mean, we're not the only ones that are, and it's not a bad idea just because we need a little bit of money to do whatever you decide to do. And so because it's dribbling in a little bit at a time, and it's over an 18 years, it'd be nice to have a little something to start working with when you do get the plan and do decide something. So I wouldn't feel too bad because I don't think we're that far off the mark from other areas either.
Well, I don't want to be slow to spend money.
Well,
That's the spend money. So.
and especially if you want some money to be able to spend, if you do have something you want to do. So hopefully, we'll have a little bit more in the bank, but we can get that plan, so. that'll help.
Thank you, sorry, not the sidetrack.
No, that's okay. It's perfect.
Lord, I need a motion for the
School. Wow.
So moved.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. All in favor? Everybody take a few minutes to review your consent agenda, and then after you've had enough time, I will need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I knew we said that. We passed it. Oh, that's why I was there.
Fix it, fix it.
Yes.
Just making sure. Right.
I'm a school teacher. I have to say that a lot when I'm on this stuff. I'm like, this is my real job.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? All right, Mike, so back to you. Do you have anything else for the financial?
Well, I will follow up on the opioids because I was going to let you know, January 23rd, we got a email saying that there was an additional pot of money for opioid. If you remember, when we first got ours, it'll be like 1.9 million over 18 years. And it started out kind of slow because the first deposits come in less than what they thought because some drug agencies hadn't fulfilled theirs or paid theirs. So it's kind of coming in not according to the schedule they thought it was going to come in as. But in January, we got an email saying that there was a second, I guess, suit that was filed or claimed or paid, finally paid. So the amount we got was an additional $13,074 and some change. I don't know if this is going to be another ongoing distribution or if it'll roll into the one that we're supposed to get every year. I'm not sure about that yet, but I did, and Four may know more about this than I did, but I did see another lawsuit that's coming down. There's another big group that's going to include Walgreens and Walmart and some big pharmaceutical providers, for vendors or whatever. So I'm not sure how that's going to come out. But as of right now, and also remember too, that we do have this in an account. It is earning interest, and interest will stay attached to that program. So right now we have about 258,000 in the account. It's just hard to project because we don't know when it's going to come, but we do have about 258,000. So we are building a little bit of that money. So when there is a plan to have something to start working with, and maybe by then we'll also have a better idea of what the projections are going to look like, because apparently this next one, I forget, it was a huge amount of money they're going after from this other group. So we'll just have to see. Other than that, if anybody had any questions, I think Taylor had already sent you the reports, financial reports for through January. If anybody had any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. But and the only other thing I will say is we did not, in the budget amendment, I did not include DSS or transportation. Neither one of those departments got their request in. We may do another, I think Tammy's wanting to do another do a budget amendment. So if I get some information, I know they're really busy right now with the IT switchover, but if we get anything, I'll bring it to the next meeting. If not, we'll wait till March. And I will follow up. We are looking at and be thinking about this, and I know you're gonna be bombarded with meetings coming up pretty soon. We are looking at the budget schedule, and we will stick to probably what we did last year. And that is outside agencies will probably do around April 14th. We'll send those letters out the first week in March. We will probably look at getting our inside agencies, our department budgets in around March 24th. And remember that the school budget, they have to about May 10th, I think by statute, to get their request into us. Although we send it to them, they don't have to comply until May if they don't choose to do the request to them. So at some point next month, probably we'll be looking at a schedule for what you want to do for budget workshops, and so be thinking about that. Let you get through E&R first. But remember, shortly after we start budget. So we've already started looking at dates and working on getting information out. If anybody has any input on anything they want me to focus on, let me know.
If we have any questions for outside agencies, do we need to get those to you sooner than later? Okay.
Generally, on outside agencies, we ask for the request along with their current financial statements and audits.
Can we respectfully request that outside agencies get their requests as quick as possible? I know that's what the statute says, but I mean, if we get stuff at the last minute after we poured over the budget, and work through it.
I
Honor.
You know, I asked them to please send it as soon as they can. But with the schools, they're kind of under statute. It says, I think, no later than May 10th.
So that's just the time. There's nothing they can do. Sit late.
You hope that they'll, if I were submitting a budget request, I would not want mine to get in last after everything else had been decided, because there's very little layout at the end.
Well,
That's my opinion.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
I think you said it better than I did. So,
I mean, most decisions for us are already made by that time.
right.
If they wait till, hopefully they won't. Other agencies tend to, you know, we give them to mid-April on outside agencies, because a lot of those agencies need to go through their budget process. They need to have their board meetings. I don't know how the Board of Health's gonna do theirs. They're the ones I'm a little worried about this year, because they, you know, with the new interim director, and I don't know what their board schedule is, but most of them need to have their work session and then have their board meeting to approve the request before it comes to us.
It's an April notice.
And it may not, and that time it may be. So I work with those agencies. If their board meeting is a few days after I've asked for it or something, they usually call and say, our board meeting is such and such. So I know we're not going to get theirs till after their board meeting, but for the most part, about mid-April, they usually can get those to me.
And I will,
When do they meet? They used to.
I'll relay that tomorrow night. We meet tomorrow night, February, we don't meet again until April. Then we meet May, if I'm not mistaken,
So when do you meet in April?
June. I'd have to look at the schedule.
You might want to look, because I think I've got the letters
Probably
prepared
gonna be the second
with
week.
the dates. I mean, I've got the dates in mind, and I think it should be like April 14th and
When,
April 14th. Is that a Friday? And if that doesn't work for them, just just let me know, Jeff, when that board meeting is, and I'll know I'm probably not going to get it till after that board meeting. Because idealistically, we want to get all those things in for you, because it's a people turnaround.
wasn't it late last year? Board of Health, when they got that request,
Well, we got the letter pretty late. Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it was May, what,
I don't remember it being in May, but it was towards the end.
Well, I know that I would prefer
I
the
thought it was late.
interim director to come in and have like a few questions from last year.
And that's something that you guys will have to talk about, and that's what I said. Like, maybe I'll put that on the agenda and have a discussion about
how you want to do it. Do you want them all to come in? Do you want to set a day and just knock them all out in one day? Do you want to do a couple of evenings? What did we do last year? A couple of evenings? Yeah, and who do you want to come in? And who do you not? And sometimes it's kind of hard to decide until you actually look at their request. And that's why if I get them in about mid-April, then I can put them together and get them emailed out to you guys so you can start looking at them. But you will have to start looking at some dates because time does get away from us from the time April starts.
Personally, I like people coming in that have influence unusual. You know, I don't necessarily mind funding at the current levels, but if somebody has something has a substantial increase, like more than 2%, I like that. I want to see in person so I can ask some questions.
So you'd like that theirs to be in by mid-April. I'll mention that.
And I know he's new and I don't know how much experience he's had with that or
He's doing a good job,
good. I've heard that.
doing a real good job, so I would
He
say
is.
that,
Yeah.
I would say that he will be coming to this board to give a in person, that's just my opinion. What do you think, he'll want to come and look us in the eye and give us a presentation, and here's what our needs are, and this is why.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Right.
All right, County Manager.
All right, so, first thing I want to talk a little bit about is, where one of our mining companies kind of did that little extra thing to help a Mitchell County citizen and also just make things a little easier for Mitchell County Transportation. So, Mitchell County Transportation was working with a resident who was on dialysis. And that resident was having trouble, we were having trouble getting the transportation van close enough for that resident to get to load in. And so with one call from our Director of Transportation, Quartz Corporation came in, put down a load of gravel, spread that load of gravel, did it free of charge to help that citizen out. So, you know, we love our mining companies, both Quartz and Sabelco. They contribute a lot to our community, and was wanted to give a little shout out in my county manager report to Quartz for what they did there. Another thing I wanted to talk about just briefly, well, just to kind of conclude with, I don't have a major county manager report, but I did want to send just condolences to the family of Ken Hollifield, who was a past county commissioner. And though I did not know Ken, it was said that when he come through these offices, he'd always tell the staff and the employees that he appreciated them. And, you know, appreciate you, that's just something that, you know, when you're slaving and that commissioner comes in and, you know, could have just walked on by because they got 1,000 things on their plate. They stop and they tell that employee they appreciate them. That goes a long way. It speaks well of this gentleman. So just wanted to send out my condolences to the Ken Holly family. Law Enforcement Center, we do have a meeting scheduled for, I think, not this Friday, but next Friday. And we are finalizing the construction plans. So those will be kind of finally getting some finalization on those. Probably about May, they should be ready to go out to bid. I think we're just doing some final things with security system, gate systems. The architect's going to go over a few things that's conflicting on how the plan layout's looking to get our preference. So that meeting is coming up Friday, 2 weeks. Also, Rec Center, we're working with Geotech on that. Catawba Valley Geotech submitted a site plan. I've sent that to our emergency management and inspections to get the floodplain improvement permit. So we'll be moving down the directions of getting a little bit of site development going on that, some RFQs out, things on that. The other thing is we're doing a board meeting with the school board on the 16th of February. That's a Thursday at 5:30. So the commission board and the school board will be meeting, and we'll be discussing the middle school bill and things around and related to the middle school bill. So that is going to be good to get our boards together. I think there's a lot of common ground, and I think these boards are working well together. I'm looking really forward to seeing this relationship between the school board and Mitchell County Board of Commissioners grow. And you know, at the end, about 2 years from now, you're going to see a new middle school out there coming up out of the ground. So y'all are working well to get that rolling. Thank you all. Thank the school board folks, all those involved around that as well. All right. Anything else? I think I got it all.
Thank you. All right, I do think we have a meeting for closed session.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. Thank you. Mitchell County Board of Commissioners will hold a closed session in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318. To consult with the attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. General policy matters may not be discussed in the closed session, and nothing herein shall be construed to permit a public body to close a meeting that otherwise would be open merely because an attorney employed or retained by the public body is a participant. The public body may consider and give instructions to an attorney concerning the handling or settlement of a claim, judicial action, mediation, arbitration, or administrative procedure. If the public body has approved or considered a settlement other than a malpractice settlement by or on behalf of the hospital, in closed session, the terms of the settlement shall be reported to the public body and enter into its minutes as soon as possible within a reasonable time after the settlement is completed.
Maybe